as they've had JDG, WeiWei, and Top Esports, and it doesn't get any easier. As you said, LNG and BLG awaiting here. LNG at least first, and then BLG to finish it off. So we'll see if they can muster some strength as anyone's legend. Gonna grab the Lucian first pick, and I love that for Shanks.
Yeah, Shanks has struggled compared to his group stage. He's come up into this Rumble stage. I was thinking he was the best mid laner in the LPL. He has lost a lot of laning phases, but the Lucian is so lane dominant, it very much helps with that. LNG, do they want to go towards the Ashe Braum? Do they want to go towards the Ezreal? There are a lot of good picks available. With the Leona off the table, the Ashe Braum loses some value. And of course, the Lily has been left through as well. So that is your premier damage plus AP engaged jungler as well. It's one of the few AP carries that can do that from the jungle. WeiWei is a hell of a good player of it too.
You also have to remember LNG coming off a little bit of momentum yesterday. They did lose a game to LGD, which maybe isn't going to be too happy for them, but still themselves playing back-to-back series. See if they can use some of that. I love the AP damage coming out from LNG, but now we got to see where that AD is going to be coming from as the Lily and Ziggs combo setting them up.
So, of course, you can now get the Lily asleep into the Ziggs bomb. And Gala might just be the best Ziggs in the LPL. This guy's insane. Very surprised that Ashe has been let through to this point. Ashe Braum is an insane combination. And someone like the Braum can also, at points too, block out the Lily asleep. Technically, when you press your R button, there's a particle which goes there. So I wouldn't surprise me to see Kael go towards the Braum. It gives you some early game plans because you can play towards Braum level 1. Early games have not been anyone's Legend specialty so far. That would be a decent pickup towards them. Go towards the Rel instead. It's a takeaway from the Ziggs, I suppose. So it means you don't get the Leona or that Rel, but you do miss out on the Ashe Braum, which is not always the best.
I really was expecting the Braum, maybe just trying to get a little bit more of the confirmed engages here. And I honestly think that might be super important. One of the biggest falters we've seen of anyone's Legend recently is something that used to be so strong, the combination of Croco and Kael. It hasn't been strong recently. Now they're getting a ton of their shot calling, decision making coming from Hope and Kael this game. I think that's important because they're going to need to figure out a way to deal with a lot of the damage profile coming out of LNG as Yone locked in for Scout.
So that's going to be some extra backline access. I mean, Lily or Yone was always the combination which was played back when both these champions were much nearer their release as well. Very, very good teamfight backline access. AL, they're probably looking at something like a Cassante for Ala if at all possible now. Maybe even looking towards a tanky jungler for Croco, but then you don't have your choice tanky junglers because Marco and Sejuani are gone, so he's probably going to have to go towards something like the Brand or the Zyra. The Brand's already gone again, so LNG really curtailing what AL would like to round out this draft. It's going to make it really hard to have 1, good magic damage, and 2, good frontline to block some of this really obnoxious engage coming in from LNG.
You have to take away some of the lockdown that they're going to be looking for in the second phase, because we have seen obviously the 4 carry compositions, but getting a little bit of CC chaining for LNG is going to pay dividends here. The Kennen ban right now by LNG as Ala getting a serious talking to there. Obviously Tabe having a lot of say in how the direction of anyone's Legend has trended upward for a lot of this season. Obviously not recently.
So, a lot of AP options removed off the table now. LNG, they'll be looking for either a Rakan or the Nautilus, whatever they want in terms of big CC combos that work out well with the Ziggs in lane. The Nautilus is fine. You also have a decent matchup into the Rel too. So now Ala's Jax is the answer for AL. It's not necessarily the best frontline. You know what? We've seen the Shyvana hovered so much recently. We finally see a Shyvana jungle come out. There is a varying amount of builds putting through from it. We've seen a load of bans going towards the likes of Fun Plus Phoenix recently. You can go towards the Leandris and the Shojin. You can go towards the Iceborne Gauntlet as well. What we assume to be Bruiser / AP jungler comes out of Croco for the first time in this role in the LPL.
And if you haven't seen it, the damage is ridiculous. You think back to the ages of the AP straight up Shyvanas and you look at the 3/4 health bars being taken down by the Dragon's Breath, it is insane. And they will have so much decision-making power around their composition. That Enchanted Crystal Arrow is going to set up Croco huge, and they have to get Croco in a place of power. This has been the engine that has made anyone's Legend run, that gets their carries ahead, that has carried in his own right. And this is setting them up for success in game number 1 of an important series.
So, the Shyvana has only been seen in top regions in the LPL, we've seen it twice from Shanji in the top lane. It has been seen in the jungle, but not within any of our major regions. Particularly over in the VCS, it is a real specialty of a player called Levi out there. Of course, he was part of the GARM roster as well. And his build has been towards the AP Bruiser-like build for this Shyvana. Need to see whether he can be significant magic damage here, because he is kind of the only magic damage on his team. It's a little bit of innovation, a little bit of something new. And it might just be enough. Spoilers there, Shyvana does some dirty things.
We'll see exactly how path it comes out. This is big eyes on LNG, though. As we said, they win here, and they lock that top 2. They'll lock a bye for that gauntlet of a playoff that we have looming large over all of these teams. And this game 1 matters a lot for anyone's legend. They have been on a massive slump, and it's time to turn it around. It's time for them to become legend, or will they just fall prey to the chillin'? We get into game 1 of LNG versus anyone's legend. Shujo actually having a little bit of cheers back and forth. It's not all LNG favored, even though a lot of this Rumble stage has been on the Rift. I think they've been able to slink their way with some weaknesses exposed along the way, but nonetheless, the results are all that matters, right, Nightmare?
So, yes and no. Yes, because if they win here, they lock top 2 and they get the Guardian Angel. What that means is that they start off in the playoffs with that double elimination. They can take themselves a lost best of 5 and they can run through the lower bracket if they need to. Anyone's legend, of course, they can't fight for that buffer anymore. They've lost too many series. And yeah, no, LNG, the fact that they have beaten our top teams, like all of our top teams from Spring, is absolutely huge. LNG beats JGG for the first time in 3 years. Gala beat Ruler at a series, which is a rarity for him. So, God, I'm trying to think. I think the last time he beat Ruler technically in a quote-unquote series was in Worlds 2020, something like that, where he won the best of 1 in the group stage of that tournament. So that's been a big historical moment too. And you know, considering this happens now, the Ignite's dropped.
Oof, that's gonna be a big flash burn. He will have Hex Flash, so still some viability there, but you love to have that kind of flash Reg line engage. Kael getting the flash out of Gala too. He's not gonna have Hex Flash. We'll get a little bit traded on him, but that bomb did not hit, so getting away with a little bit of a better trade, and it is anyone's Legends bot lane right now.
Yeah, so that's going to be pushing bot lane, ready for Croco to go down towards the bot side as well. He's gone towards the Scorched Claw, and he has himself that fleet footwork, and looking at his runes as well, he went towards the Cosmic Insight for a little bit more cooldown reduction as well. I would imagine Croco, the build from this jungle, because again, there's no magic damage on the team. For those of you that missed what's happening with the Shyvana, we haven't seen it in major regions. We have seen it over in Vietnam in the VCS. We see Shojin, Liandry's as a core duo, and then you see that kind of going towards into a flexibility of either more damage or tankiness later on. The last time it was played in the LPL was 2019 in the jungle.
By Meteor!
By Meteor. Was that technically when it was Meteor instead of his name? Remember when he had the typo in his name? It's been a long-ass time.
Oh, goodness gracious. But it is something we're talking lightly of, but it is something we've been seeing rise up in priority in the new patch as well. So we'll see if it actually pulls that off. That level 6 mark, really important. You do not want to have your clear path be invaded on, and so far we are seeing both junglers just kind of being okay with culminating their clears on bot side, but right now anyone's legend have the forward hand here.
They do. They have that bot lane push, and of course they have more flashes now than the enemy bot lanes. They can force some plays. Getting farm onto the Shyvana early is obviously very, very important. If you do go towards the Leandries, go towards the Faded Ashes. Level 4 compared to WeiWei's level 3. Does manage to get himself that 4 off those wolves, but Croco probably looking to get himself those Faded Ashes for that clear speed early on. Shyvana very, very fast at clearing. Needs to be a little careful here, because Sensei's taking good damage against him.
Shyvana wants to stay active. You want to, that first clear being done, no issues, that's perfectly fine. You still want to stay as active as possible. Make sure that your damage threshold is always a threat. But we have also seen, and I want to give a little bit of praise to WeiWei, the Lilia has taken the league by storm again, it feels like, and you're going to be able to have a really quick clear speed, especially now that you have the Faded Ashes, and both junglers seemingly going to be pathing towards this dragon spawn.
potentially so. I think there's a really interesting conversation about who is the best Lilia in the entirety of the LPL. Hang on, Zika might go towards Q3 here. If he'd hit that, that might have been a kill. So lucky to get away with that one. Can't stop the demolish coming through. But, you know, when you have players like, I mean, obviously, Kanavi and Tien have been excellent on this pick, and well, they've been excellent on everything, realistically. Then you also have Xiao Hao, you have WeiWei as well. There are probably even players I'm missing there. Those are just the names off the top of my head. We have 17 teams in the LPL, and there's a whole bunch of them which are really good at Lilia. There's a reason why it's ended up rising to priority. Becomes that extra engaged threat, and of course when it combos up well with meta picks like the Ziggs in the bot lane, or stuff like Misfortune that we've seen a lot of too with the Sleep Bullet Time combo. Playing Lilia is a must in the LPL right now. Every team is using it to great effect, and I think this is one pick which I just continue to see getting more and more value. So as soon as you get towards that Fated Ashes first back, you just hoover through farm as well, and WeiWei. He'll look to get towards that Liandry's and then towards the Seekers as well. As soon as you have that, the team fights are so disgustingly powerful. So watch for WeiWei to reach that point of power and see if you can leverage off of Gala and Scout to help them get their own engages.
This is exactly what you want to see from anyone's Legend, though. They have a very powerful pushing bot lane. They need these dragons stacking up for Croco on the Shyvana.
True,
they'll be able to get this one as well.
Yeah, that Shyvana has a passive. That's a thing.
A little extra, you know, a little extra. But really waiting for that level 6.
I genuinely forget about it on Shyvana because her passive is just not important in so many of it. So the problem is, because for every dragon you kill, you get some stacking resist. That's the way, I believe that's the way it used to work. You know, it's been so long since I've checked out Shyvana passive. The problem is, when it's AP Shyvana, she doesn't really care about it because she just sits at range and becomes an artillery bot. We'll see what the build is, because has themselves the AD HP right now. We'll see what the full build is again. We're kind of going off of what we've seen limited places elsewhere. Maybe we're seeing
it's solo queue mostly, like some pros playing it. But yeah, it's going to be curious. There's also the question of Grubs coming up. We've already gotten...
Ooh, good satchel.
Really good satchel. Now, Kael might just have to give his life here. You cannot have this 2v2 go down like this. You already said how lethal Gala can be on the Ziggs. They're looking for first, and that's first blood for LNG. It seems the Legends have fallen prey to the Chillin'.
That is, that's a problem. The Panda has been feasted upon by the mythical beasts as the Chillin' gets themselves the first blood. Gala, first blood on the Ziggs, so powerful on this pick. Talking about, you know, is WeiWei one of the better Lilias? Gala is absolutely one of the best Ziggs, maybe even the best Ziggs in the LPL right now. So giving him first blood, not very good at all. And suddenly, you have a winning lane where the Ziggs can hit that turret. 3 grubs given over as well. You're going to imagine now that Gala is going to get a lot of gold from plates because he's going to be able to hit that turret. He can teleport back in. Already a plate and a half down in that bot side. AL, this is one of the issues we have seen about this team. They are falling behind in the early game very, very consistently. See, that Flash was even forced out of hope as well as he tried to make his way back to lane. Good Hawk shot saves his life, I suppose, but the Flash being down is a bit of a problem. Now that the level 6s are in for LNG across, or at least coming in soon, that could be a very, very dead Ashe if they step out of line.
Yeah, I mean, both level 6 power spikes for these teams unlock so much of what they want to do on the map. So I'm very interested at maybe the uptick in tempo that we're going to be getting over these next couple minutes, because first Hope has Enchanted Crystal Arrow, but you're also going to have the Dragon's Descent there by Croco and try and find any sort of damage he can on the back end. WeiWei's going to have all that set up for LNG as well. And we won't at least have a lot of that pathing going into each other just yet. But I'm wondering what this mid lane priority could lead to if LNG want to punish it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think mid lane for LNG is always a topic. And I think Shanks, given how he played in groups, was a huge focus as well. So just on a player level, that's important. But the way that LNG play as a team is so hugely about how Scout can get pushing lane, particularly in side lanes later on. In the early lanes, it's whatever. Stuff like the Ono, you're not expecting him to get early push. But if now AL can bring someone like Arla or Shanks and make sure that he doesn't get value out of side lanes, because LG are the most tower-centric team in the LPL, and a lot of that comes through Scout getting side lane gold, that can be a way that you can shut them down. If you stop him getting that gold, stop him getting that control of the map before objectives, it can really change everything. So that's going to be something that AL probably need to keep in mind.
There is a potential setup of a play on a 3v2 down here. There is movement from WeiWei that would be here to kind of cover as well. So still going back to the clearing. And you can see that Croco is no shabby dragon in terms of the clear speed you can do, even with the speed that we've seen Lilia have. Now the reset going to finally come through for Croco as he finishes his.
Yeah, Shyvana, I mean, God, this was a thing that Diamond Prox used to use back in like season 2, season 3.
God,
all
that's
that
a
time ago.
throwback.
Man, you know, one of my my favorite moments in my career was getting to cast Diamond Proxy. I weirdly ended up in like the ERL system for a bit, but I managed to cast him back then. He's one of the real legendary players, and of course we've got plenty of them here in the LPL too. There is no end of those kind of like players we're grateful to have here in this region. But that Shyvana really was just like the farm through counter jungle style way back then as well. Your clear speed has always been one of the best things of that Shyvana jungle. Sometimes your sticking power can struggle. Looks like he is going towards that Shojin first item, have a bit more of that HP, and of course, huge amount of stacking percent damage. All that through the wall, it's the team!
Delivery service as the depth charge comes through, and he has so much CC onto him. Zika is going to get that second kill for LNG.
Slick stuff from Zika there in the top side. Gets that all that right delivered into the team. I don't know, just call it FedEx at that point. As Zika gets himself a huge amount of value from that one. As Allah's Jax, one of his most legendary picks, kind of held to account by Zika. Flash forward in the mid lane.
That was
Does
the
not
Matrix.
land anything from that.
We're getting all the great film references out tonight. I'm just, it's a commonality, I feel like, every time we get together. As now Kael going to go in mid lane, scout pull it back, as Hung is already here. The thing is, Dragon coming up in about 10 seconds. The next spawn of Grubs coming up in under 30. Big reliance on which lane these teams are going to go to, as LNG already have the 3 Grubs under them.
I can't believe I just missed all this time. That Lucian skin is basically just Matrix anyway. It looks
It
completely
literally
like that.
is, yeah.
I can't believe that. Sometimes I think I'm clever, sometimes I don't. Anyway, Zika, really clever angle from him. The hook was... Like, I get that you're trying to get a flash target, so it's quite hard to get that hook in the right time. You want to make sure that you time it right, but it doesn't quite get the exit point at the same point. But still, good combo. Cost Zika his flash, but he gets himself a kill. Arrow pulled out by Hope.
They want to try to get this dragon. Oh, no, they want the fights here. Croco try to get his raid bar up there. They already take WeiWei down. There is no jungler available, and Croco, he's looking to secure a second dragon, stacking up some of that armor and magic resist.
Yeah, Croco gets himself some big value there. Gets himself kill participation, gets himself that dragon, and of course he's going to go right the way back to farming as well, getting himself up towards that Shojin, as we imagine that in that jungle. So LNG, not necessarily the cleanest early game from them so far. Of course, pulled up a good play on that top side, but giving over this room for the Shyvana to get online. I want to see what the Shyvana can do. I need to see what it can do into both the front line and the back line, and see whether it can deal with stuff like the huge Ziggs combo.
And as we're getting to a point where leads are going to start mattering, I mean, Gala is going to be perfectly fine and dandy on this Zig. Speaking of, he's pushing Hope out. Oh, and even hits the bounce on the bomb. It is something of a problem for anyone's legend, I feel like, in this, because now LNG are going to have Grubageddon. Better get the doors shut, the windows locked, everything good to go, because it doesn't seem like anyone's legend, if they are behind, are going to have much success. They need to have some sort of lead so they can be the ones in the driving position.
850 gold off of that satchel for gold. That's so much. It's just too much gold. There were a couple of games earlier this split and earlier this year when, God, I remember one of the BLG games where they left Ziggs alone on bot side to be a weak side person, and just kind of sit there farming up with the bombs. And so Orcs over in the LCK is, and of course, used to be a big LPL caster as well. Great to see him having success over there. But he's a huge Ziggs player and a huge like supporter of Ziggs and going towards Ziggs as a carry, someone that should be getting plates, then move out of that lane and get plates elsewhere. Gala is doing exactly that, and he's going towards the full damage. He's not going towards something like a Seraphs. It's the Ludens, it's the Leandries. Gala is going to get so much gold. He is going to absolutely destroy this map. AL need to find a way to stop Gala hitting turrets, because if they don't, Ziggs will end the game. That is the problem with Gala Ziggs as well. He is probably the best Ziggs in the LPL, I think. He's been so consistent at getting damage out on this pick. And already he's a huge issue. 2,000 gold ahead of Hope. That is insane to me.
It's a big diff right now. He, again, Hope still. As a person who said in interviews when he was on JDG that he wants to have a little bit more direction from his position, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow is the direction you need. You land one big one onto any of these would-be carries of LNG, you might be able to follow up the damage onto that. So got to keep an eye on that. We are on first item spike. Shojin's there for Croco. More importantly, the Blade of the Ruined King for Shanks. As soon as this item has been completed, I mean, our carries just go wild with it. And I expect to see that here for anyone's legend who are, again, on the back foot when they need to be on the front foot.
It's one bomb onto Hope. I love the mind
It's
games coming in from Gala
crazy.
as well, because a lot of Zig's bot lane has always been about using one skill to make sure your second skill shot hits. I remember it was Shifter back in like Season 7, Season 8 that was playing it a load on stream. He was talking about how you can play a bot lane. He also played Zed bot lane too. That one never really caught on, but... he would use the satchel to get guaranteed Q hit afterwards because of the small knockup. But right there, you can see that Gala blocks off one kind of access to the turret by putting the satchel between the turret and the wall, and then kind of fires the bomb into the other one to make sure they can kind of herd someone into those skill shots. And when you have this much damage, one skill shot landing can win you a laning phase, and then Hope will have to recall or do something similar to that. So Gala, every skill shot hit is likely another chance to hit the tower with a passive auto attack as well. And if you get 2 fast fuses of this amount of AP, that's effectively a tower gone, which is a problem. At least the plates are gone now. At least this past 14 minutes, it's not going to be all the gold going over to this Gala 6.
We have seen pretty much both teams choosing a side of neutral objectives and saying we want all of that. Uh-oh. That's
so
not great.
mean.
Yeah, that's very rude. It is all the dragons so far by anyone's legend, but all the topside objectives by LNG. They'll be able to get a lot of this standing gold or use this Rift Herald as a distraction if they want to. And I think that's going to be really important to kind of keep an eye out as they are still steadily up 4,000 gold in this game 15 minutes in.
Yeah, this is one of the issues we've had with Anyone's Legends. Anyone's Legends early game has fallen off a cliff. This team had some of the better level 1s and level 2s in both in the early groups against some of the weaker teams in the Ascension group, and of course in the group stage as well before that. They had some great early games, but I think their early game understanding has fallen off very, very heavily, and I think that's one of the reasons why people are now viewing this slump as a real slump. Until they get that early game understanding back, we won't get to see them play with the gold, which they're used to, get to play around the mid games, which they were very effective at. They're very good at reading the map and making decisive plays, and they're making a play here. Not going to be that much value, though.
Will be the Dragon's Descent popped. Need to try to get as much push with that as possible. Speaking of push, Rift Herald takes that standing gold for LNG. Will be responded to on the top side, but another charge going to come through, and that's a Ziggs, baby. You're just waiting for that satchel charge, and that's a huge tier 2 to LNG. Take full advantage of the map play, and this has been the biggest difference, I feel like, by Anyone's Legend is their decision-making used to be pretty clear, and now it's become a bit foggy. Oh. And Ala, he's turning a little foggy. Scout trying to get away here, going back to his twin soul, at least, and another turret goes to Gala.
If there is one way to describe LNG, they are the best team at taking towers in the entirety of the LPL. Back in group stage, even when they were off form, they took a 5-for-1 turret trade against top esports in full form and took a game off of them. LNG, when they get access to towers, are one of the best teams in the LPL, and this is one of the reasons why they've been so impactful. They now take those towers, go back towards the Dragon. They haven't spent their gold, but they might not need to.
He's in a little bit of trouble. He's going to pop the lilting lullaby. Here comes the combo there. Straight onto Croco. Ala has come in. He's by himself. Now Kael coming over to the side. Now Kael by himself. Culling going through. They've got the damage there from Shanks. Shanks dashing forward. Scout getting low, but the all-out comes through over onto him. Now Scout trying to find the play. Almost dies himself. Zika dashed into safety, but it's not going to be safe for long. Ala was looking for the counter-strike. Hope coming on the side. Now Kael sacrifices his life, and Gala comes up with the kill. And Gala has been the main name we've said time and time again in this game 1.
So it's not the best fight from LNG because they hadn't spent their gold from that tower take, which is great. You got the towers. You still need to use that gold. They have it now, though, and they still walk away largely with the fight. I would imagine AL get a bit more out of that because they were just behind the pace of the game. And of course, they stopped the Dragon kind of instantly going over as well. WeiWei goes in, puts the ult immediately onto Croco, try and take out that jungler early on. Great CC combo. Hun goes straight onto that. One of the reasons why Lilia is such a powerful pick is moments like this. You can get yourself that pick and engage potential, and your extended fight mobility with that Q rack up is really, really powerful. Makes it very important, of course, that Shanks takes him down. It means that WeiWei can't get himself the extended play. Shanks, overall, very good fight from him. Gets himself onto the board. Sadly, just doesn't have all of the items at this point to be completely broken in these fights. Dragon started up again in the picture, but LNG get themselves still a decent fight. They've spent all their gold now, and it's going to get worse from here.
All right, Croco showing off some strength against Scout up there. But again, then you see how much damage that does. You see what happens if you don't have a massive lead as Croco on the Shyvana. I think you can see the potential, if they did have a lead, to be very oppressive. But now we're seeing the utility of WeiWei's Lilia really come to bear in these fights.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, the Shyvana is a decent pick. I think we should be seeing it, particularly when the first string of AP junglers are down. I think when you go towards, once you get towards that core 2 items of the Shojin and then into the Leandries, very, very powerful champion at finding out a lot of people on the sidelines. I also think later into the game, once you get that Shodan and Leandris, there's a decent chance that Croco could be 1v1ing Zucker on the Xante. We saw that Shandy was playing the Shyvana into the Xante matchup, because Shyvana's base damages are so ridiculously large. When you get percent increases from the Shodan and that and the Leandris, it gets problem. Flash force out of that too. But yeah, Croco, huge amounts of damage later into the game, but he needs to find the right targets. I don't think you can dive in 1v3, 1v4. That's going to be a huge issue. He needs to find split fights somehow.
The fact that WeiWei doesn't have flash for a Lilting Lullaby play, actually pretty big there. We need to get some repositioning going through from anyone's legend. Get some movement at least to deny Scout some of the side laning, and I want to talk about that a little bit because that has been the saving grace and sometimes the killing blow for LNG, especially recently, and that weakness that I was foreshadowing to earlier that LNG have exposed of themselves.
Yeah, so LNG, they're still 6-1. They walk away with the series. They're still top 2, but yeah, they're not a perfect team within the LPL. In fact, that's going to be ult from Croco. I really want to just start putting some damage down.
I mean, you can. You're a big old dragon. Why not? You're just walking under turret. Gala is down. That was a shutdown, and Croco showing the strength of the dragon's roar.
Well, we said we needed Croco to find some, big picks.
Oh, Scout, that's a little deep. He's trying to get in there, get some more damage down. Ends up going back, losing a majority of his health for it after he just TP'd back to lane.
I mean, he does get Hope's flash. That's still not a bad takeaway, given that they just lost Gala there too. It also means that AL can't stick around to push mid lane anymore. But we were just saying, Croco used to find isolated targets, run them down. Yeah, just did that. Gets the kill, gets himself the Leandris as well. That damage just went up. So now you're going to get yourself, once the Leandris are stacked up, the 6% damage from the Haunting Guise passive from the Leandris. The Shojin gives you a decent amount of extra ability damage. And of course, the extra ability haste as well is incredible in giving yourself all that ability to kind of keep chasing down. Just go straight onto Gala. Sadly, Gala does not have mistakes. Didn't respect it. Let's be honest though, how many times have you played against Shyvana in your pro career like this? Not very often.
In pro career, yeah, maybe it's solo queue.
The turret just does not matter. He just keeps going anyway. He doesn't care.
And that's showing off a little bit of what he can do with it. But I think it's also a question of not only the pick, but the player. I think at some point in this these last 30 minutes or so, anyone's legend has replaced their engine with a dragon. And it's looking really good, but Croco needs to have a good moment. There's the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. There's the combo, and Dragon's eating good tonight. Croco with another one.
Yeah, someone's not playing against the Shyvana that much. Golly, you're not safe to push up there. Should needs to be playing. I mean, he's even playing on max Q range, standing on the top side of the lane. He's still not safe. Now, suddenly, with the Leandris burning on the Baron as well, they're going to try and take it.
They can keep the rage up here. Croco can keep his form and use these E's to do massive damage. It's going to be the Baron at 2150, and it goes the way of anyone's legend. Here comes the combo. The Dragon's form is going to drop here. You still have a lot of fighting strength. All out comes out from Zika, separating the fight a little bit. LNG, they're trying to pick off the remaining members. Now, this is Allah's time to shine. Flashes for the Counter-Strike into AL. They have just unlocked their legendary status. Here comes Scout trying to get the outplay, but he's all by himself again. Now hung. He's going to have to flash out the other side. Gala, he might be the man of the hour. He's going to lock down Hope, but the lollipop not going to connect. AL come out fighting Zika. He TP'd behind, but he's by himself, and he's just going to be picked out. He is a Cassante, but there is not enough time in the world. And Allah picks up another one. 4,000 damage done, and now the dragon is spotting in about 45 seconds.
I mean, it's just a Shyvana diff. Croco kills Gala twice in as many minutes. And Gala, the most fed person on the map, dies 2 times just wave clearing in mid lane because he just doesn't understand that he's under threat. How many times are players going to have played against the Shyvana like this in their pro career? Not very often at all. The last time that Shyvana jungle was played in the LPL was 2019, and Croco has his ult again. He's going to swap the Hex Flash maybe over the wall. He was wondering whether he was going into that brush, but because Hung goes backwards, he will be unknown to himself. Much more safe. Croco hasn't even got himself a recall recently. Want to see what his third item will be. He can go towards either more tank with someone like a Randrins, could go towards even something like a Horizon Focus if he really wants to keep amping up on that magic damage and the increased percent increase the damage as well. Croco, I've had so much criticism for him recently, but his plays in the last couple of minutes around this mid lane have been absolutely instrumental. Burns down the Baron after this point. Kael does a really good job of delaying WeiWei, who has no flash from getting into the fight. Yeah, the Dragon form goes off at this point, but you've got the Baron. There's no Ziggs there as well, so you're more than happy to take this fight.
It's just so cool to see anyone's legend playing around these carries, right? Like they drafted the Ashe to really set up for a lot of these picks, a lot of these moments. Now we're going to see that TP behind by Zika, unfortunately. But it is a situation where this is more like the Anyone's Legend that was dominating their placement stage.
Yeah, no, LNG, we were saying, hey, they've just beaten all of these top teams. They're 6-1. Is this another fight in the mid lane? It's another fight from Croco.
Croco's ramping up. That Flame Breath could be doing a lot. Look, he doesn't even have to hit you with it. It just has to hit around you. Cullen going over on the Hung, but Kael is down now. Croco's still trying to make his way out. Hung is not going to go down. WeiWei showing the difference here. He's going to get the flash out of him. Oh! He doesn't actually get the damage proc there in the end, and Croco will make it away. WeiWei tries to get the sneaky play there. The whole time, All has been pushing to the side lane with the Baron buff.
Yeah, the Baron buff means that AL can push up across the map and control those side lanes, which LNG is so ruthless at using normally. Big problem in that mid lane play is that I don't think that AL have managed to go back and get themselves a base. They can do now. We'll see what the next items will be, particularly from Croco, who's going to get himself a lot of components. He's going towards himself more Magic Pen at this one, so it might be something like that. Crypt Bloom for the extra cooldown reduction. Of course, Shyvana, what she wants to do is use that window of time of ultimate to get as many E's as possible, but she doesn't necessarily want to be fighting right here, taking all of the damage. She's not quite as tanky as you'd like to be. Kael and Croco do get themselves an initial amount of damage onto Hung, but it's much tankier target than that Ziggs. It's not instantly one-shot at this point. You can see the value of WeiWei with the extra movement speed from the blooming blows, getting a lot of value here. Almost taking down Croco. That would have been a big scalp to claim.
And I think it's also, okay, well, we don't even get time. And Chance Crucero locks down Scout. He gets picked, and it's actually a big amount of gold going to Croco in the end. I think 500 there.
Croco keeps getting more fed. I guess this Shyvana is just OP.
Feed the dragon,
somehow.
feed the dragon, feed the dragon.
Yeah, they're doing that. And we had already 3 dragons up as well, so it's an extra bunch of resist coming through. It's 5 armor and magic resist per stack, so it's an extra 15, which is alright when you've got a lot of HP. It'll help you be a bit more survivable, and it gets them closer towards that soul as well. Croco is just so fed. You spot the soul unbound, and he goes back into a bit of a dangerous spot there after that point. The arrow hits, and Scout almost gets himself out with some good buffering, but not enough. And now suddenly LNG behind the game. They are well and truly behind the game now, as I think with the extra dragons on top of that for AL, that is going to put them ahead in another metric besides gold as well. And this is why we were saying, okay, LNG 6-1, but they've beaten a lot of these top teams. What's happening against the other ones, though? The FPX series was weird when they reached late game. LGD the other day wasn't really that convincing. I want to see LNG give me a good performance, because I want our top teams to be playing the best League of Legends they can. And clearly for LNG, this has not been an easy game for them. I think a lot of that has been curveballs thrown by AL, but the sequence of oversteps by both Gala and now some other members from LNG around the map have made this job a lot easier from AL. And
that has been a little bit of the weakness of LNG in Classics Pass here recently, at least. As now they're actually collapsing. Where have we seen this before? Nightmara. It's going to hit onto him. We've seen this time and time again, and this is how LNG loses games. We have Crypt Bloom, 3rd item completed for Croco. He's also going to hit level 16. The 3 item spikes coming abounding for Anyone's Legend, and it's right at the perfect times, it feels like, because they can crash this top tier 2.
This is such a huge game for Croco. Most of the way that AL have lost their games recently is because their jungle support's been blown out. Their early game's been blown out before they can do anything. Croco, huge game from him. 3 items on the Shyvana, which is matching the solo lanes because the amount of gold that he's had. And WeiWei, typically he has been such an incredible Lilia player. He's not really had a chance to show it because the fights which have been happening haven't been the 5v5s. They've been the split fights that we've been asking for. The arrow hits from Hope. Great play from him over the last couple of fights. Really good accuracy. But the fact that the fights have been split to allow the Jax and the Shyvanas to just absolutely dunk on whoever they hit is winning this game for AL. LNG, I think they still can win their big combos and their grouped up fights, but AL, they're just not giving to them.
I think Hope having a very big leadership role in how AL are able to start these fights, Kael as well, but Shanks and Croco, Alla, they're the carries. They're the ones you have to watch out for. Alla's been doing so much work in the side lane, too, to keep an eye on that one. But for LNG, their big saving grace are the wombos, the combos, and the dance they can get here. They got to dance harder, though.
I can see just there that, yeah, you can just use the Shyvana ult just for poke, and that's completely fine. And then you find yourself a couple of jungle camps, and you can start charging up your passive again. So you want it to, once you run out of your last shots, you then go and look for targets to auto-attack, and that's effectively your cooldown. Level 16 now as well, so that rage now goes up to 3 per second. If you start hitting that Baron, well, it's going to get it back very, very soon. Alla on the flank, and Croco willing to just wait up a little bit, wait for that rage to come back, and look for another artillery poke.
No way, they're just going to try to flip the Baron. He started up, immediately back away. AL, they're positioning on this top side, trying to get Croco his dragon form back. Zika Gonna be the front line here in the red buff fight. Hung and the rest of LNG not feeling confident to move over, so that'll go the way of AL.
You can see just getting a couple of camps to target us again, Croco has his ult again. And you know, he has that huge damage core. Scout is going to get himself a dragon on the bot side of the map, so that's something for LNG. And AL haven't found anyone split apart just yet. That's why they're not forcing as hard as they were before. They find an isolated target, fantastic. Force very well. But they don't want to take just a straight 5v5. If they don't manage to catch Gala, and Gala manages to fire a combo back at them, yes, the Shyvana, Jax, they do damage. They still also will get exploded by a very fed Ziggs. So the gold is not completely out of proportion. I think that Gala can still very much win this game for LNG. Same kind of situation with WeiWei and Scout if they have big enough teamfight ultimates as well. AL are not immune to wombo combo. They still want to find split targets, and that's why they're being a little bit more tentative when it's more like fights between 4 or 5 players rather than just the 1-2 when they find them isolated.
And they got to start reassuring themselves around the dragon, man. It's going to be a while till they have to answer that call, but they're so close to a soul. They could start forcing fights potentially around the Elder, but again, maybe trying to take those in-betweens instead. We are getting a ton of presence around this Baron. AL can do it surprisingly fast as well.
They can do because they have themselves. I mean, Shyvana always has good camp speed. Again, going
He's
onto
doing
that
it.
dragon. Again, doing it again because they have the extra dragons, has the extra resist as well, which makes it a little easier to tank. Has that dragon's descent. We might get ourselves a full team fight for the first time.
Kael can't be the one getting chunked early there. Baron gone down. This is another one for anyone's legend. Allah tries to go over to Gala. Big flash, though. Look at it on the other side, though. WeiWei was looking for a lilting lullaby in the pit, though. Croco's going down. 600 smackaroos go over. Now we're getting Trey's back. Anyone's legend repositioning onto the left side of the fight. Kael still full health. He can go forward. We're about to get the TP back in by Shanks. They want to keep the fight going. They want to keep the fight here with LNG. Here comes Scout, though. Zika is finding the pickup. Allah almost gets him, too. Scout has come in. The saving hero for LNG as Kael, he's still there. Allah, he can't get the combo with the counter-strike and Scout, he's there. He's getting the damage down. He can't do it though. Allah, the counter-strike comes back up and Scout is left wanting. Allah comes out with a 6,000 hammer down.
Anyone's legend get the Baron and they get the fight. LNG, they double down on their losses as they try to claim some of those Baron buffs back, trying to make sure that AL can't use them. And they just double down. They were waiting for the 5v5 and they can't execute. Now AL will get themselves well and truly onto the map. It's only the 2 Baron buffs themselves. They won't be able to get the full court press as easily as they could have done before. But LNG, I think they just end up tunneling too much. They tunnel way too deep onto this Baron. Gala uses his ult quite cheaply here. It gets some chunk out, but there's immediately some honey fruit. Gala gets a ton of damage down, even without that ultimate being available for the end of this fight. I thought at this point maybe LNG could just call it quits and get like one last player, but I think Gala does so much damage it almost baits in the rest of the team. He gets a huge satchel in just a second here, which opens up Zika to get the assassination onto Hope. This one right here, as they try and follow up on the engagement from Kael, it opens up Zika to go towards Hope over here. They realistically should have called it here though. At this point, this is where you need to just get the heck out of dodge. They stay too long, and when you get into these messier split fights, yeah, you are going to get a load of value from either Jax or that Shyvana or whoever's left alive. When it becomes more about the split fights, AL win. It starts the big old 5v5, but because it ends up going so messily and it's only the Jax alive, yeah, Allah's Jax comes to play.
And you wonder if that Q3 hits, is that the difference maker? I don't even know if it really is, as Allah able to make a massive outplay there. Now he's on 3 items. He's 5-1. And this whole AL roster, I mean, this gold graph is going to be a doozy with the flip around that anyone's legend have done. And now they're looking mid lane. Again, you don't even have to hit it.
Yeah. And right now, so what you're doing with the Shyvana build is getting as many % damage increases from your kit as possible. You get 25% when Shogun's fully stacked. You get 6%.
Oh, they want him.
He's going to take damage now.
They actually take a Fate Sealed in. They're going to get the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. Croco is still alive, still kicking. Zika going to take him out again. He's the Dragon Slayer of LNG, and he might be cosplaying here. There's the depth charge going to Hope. They get the lockdown. This is what LNG want. They're in the choke point, though. You got to be careful. Zika going deep. Allah is still there in the fight, but Scout has come back for revenge. Allah all by himself. Shanks trying to fight their way out the solo lanes of anyone's legend in a 2v5. Can they survive? Allah, he's by himself, left out to dry. He's gonna burn the flash, and he is going down.
So ends the Baron push of anyone's legend. LNG find the pick onto Croco. It's amusing about how much damage Croco can do with all these % increases. Yeah, he's still not immune to LNG getting that pick off. WeiWei gets the sleep, and honestly, that could save the game. If AL got themselves that locking across the map with all of those Baron waves coming through, things could have changed so much differently. Croco, of course, he has that flash still. Maybe he should have flashed over the wall. I don't think it matters, though. The engage from LNG is really, really well put together. And the fact that LNG win this fight with the Ziggs ult missing is huge. If you don't have that Shyvana getting those split fights and getting the extra damage in, I think we have seen that, you know, while AL have played very, very well around those split fights, they are not immune to LNG in the 5v5. The 5v5s favor LNG, the split fights favor AL. It does get close because the amount of gold and power that AL have, but this is not their favored fight, and it shows.
Yeah. I think that's the most difficult part, is you can like see how much fighting strength the individual pieces for anyone's Legend have. But we can't even talk about that much more because there's another denial happening. LNG have gotten 3 Cloud Dragons for themselves. And for a team for anyone's Legend that really wanted to maybe close that early stacking out for themselves, they haven't been able to just yet because LNG are putting constant pressure around that objective timer.
I have to say, I'd be a little bit heartbroken for AL if they don't win this game. They have done so much good work. And they do get a decent Baron power play out of this too, so they're still ahead in gold, but it's just not the game-ending play that they would have wanted. Problem is now, it's much harder to force the split fights because we're getting to the phase of the game where wave clear is so instant and you have Ziggs. So Ziggs is, well, that's basically all you need to say there, really.
Unfair.
Yeah, we remember Season 4 and why we had to change Baron buff to buff minions because Ziggs would ruin games and stall them out to 50 minutes every single time. Yeah, no, AL, they can't necessarily force the split fights anymore because the wave clear is so instant, which means that LNG can immediately wave clear, group back together, force the 5v5. Now, you do get value out of AL from Croco doing the Dragon's Descent and then looking for that big poke, but what we saw just there is that if you're in the Dragon form, you don't have the same kind of level of escape either, which means that you can be threatened by WeiWei, who's even going towards a Banshee's Veil after this, so he's going to be a little tankier as well to some of that magic damage, and also ignore some of that engage coming through from AL from that Ash Arrow. This needs to be somehow a phase of play which allows AL to get onto isolated targets before the fight begins. We have seen in the 5v5, LNG are still going to out-team fight AL, despite whatever's happened in the previous part of the game and how fed the Shyvana is.
And isn't it so funny that we have turned back in LNG in the late game, 35-plus minute games. Not something that's been here recently for them, but we've always known them as the tortoise of the league. And now they'll be able to prove maybe some of that team fighting that necessarily hasn't been their biggest strength this split.
No, it hasn't been this split. If anything, LNG, they've had to learn to teamfight again after figuring out how to take towers again. They've done a lot of relearning. Croco was a little bit of danger there. But, you know, LNG, this game was not slowed down because of them. Or rather, like, them choosing not to do anything. They got caught, Gala got caught off and they've been forced to stall. I think this one is kind of on AL extending this game, particularly through Croco just exploding this game. And now we do get to the point where we're getting into truly hyper late game towards that 36 to 30, 40. Such a close. So one of these hooks could lead into a full Ziggs combo, which could lead to the end of someone's very short existence here on Summoner's Rift.
Seems like Croco also being a little bit more reserved using the Dragon's Descent. We're always looking at Hope to try to use some of this vision to maybe catch somebody out if they can take them down. Baron going to be started by LNG, though they want to force the hand.
Kael has flash, is not on vision right now. Can he get the flank, which ends the game?
Croco has so much poke damage here. Here comes Kael. Big 5-man Magnet Storm there, but they're going to get all the damage into Zika here. You got to be careful as LNG are repositioning. They're splitting the fight, and they're playing to their strengths as they take down AL. They lose Kael, at least on anyone's Legend side, so they don't have a big front line anymore.
And Kael, they forget what the comp wants to do. They see the 5-man engage angle, but it doesn't work. LNG goes straight back towards the Baron.
Hung wants it. Croco doesn't have his form anymore, and Scout has come to town. Croco trying to get away. WeiWei go with gold, and look at Hope. He's stepping up to the plate here. He's gone a little deep. Zika has found Hope, but is it going to be enough? The slowdown is getting him out of there. Gala, a little bit indecisive. He wants to try to follow up. Zika will make it out of there. God, that fight was so back and forth, and I love this game won by AL and LNG.
This has been so fascinating. Both these teams trying to unlock their own win conditions. AL trying to get themselves a big fight without a proper 5v5. LNG trying to fire back without giving these split scenarios where Ala can start tearing them apart in the backline. This has been fantastic. The fact that AL have been on such a slump, but showing a game like this against LNG, one of our top teams in the LPL right now, despite their own back and forth in form, is what I want to see out of anyone's Legend. Some kind of hope that they haven't just kind of thrown away their form. They go towards the big 5v5. I just don't think this is the fight that they want. Yeah, you get like a 3-man flame breath from the ulting Shyvana, but it's just not enough damage. And this is the problem. You can get everyone down to about half HP. You can't get everyone completely down. A Crypt Bloom comes through from a proc after that, gives some healing back.
If it don't work,
just
do it again.
Go back towards that Baron. Croco is ulted onto the Baron.
I try to get as much damage. Oh my god, Scout, he's in there by himself in there like swimwear. LNG are turning back around to the other two members of AL. Scout is out of there. Another Baron goes the way of anyone's legend. They just have to get these buffs out of there, and they do.
This time they do manage to get more of those Baron buffs out. So we are going towards Dragon in 20 seconds. AL are going to try and kick on the afterburners to get towards this one. I don't know whether they're going to be there in time. They're also not going to have themselves the Dragon's Descent. They're not going to have themselves any ultimate. So I think LNG, this is the time for them to try and get that soul if at all possible. But they're currently looking to fix their waves. Instead, Scout wants to take that overall team red buff. AL going to start pushing in that mid lane instead. They don't have any grubs. It's not like they can do a 6 grub push in the mid lane, but this would be sold for either team. LNG, they're going to go towards it now as AL come through the mid lane.
The arsenals have been laid to bear. Everything on the line here with this game 1. As we have almost full item spikes for every AL, are just forcing it straight up the gut here. They just want to go straight for the Nexus here, it seems, as they still have the Baron buff covered up for them, but they will just push into the end hip and back away. They just can't be caught a little bit too overextended. Gala, he's looking to hover for a Mega Inferno Bomb.
Why are you there, Gala? All right, that could be a bit dangerous. Has he been seen? I don't know. He's on a weird flank right now. Can he get a chunk out? It's only a little bit. Gets himself the grubs, I think, or the scuttle crab. So he gets the scuttle crab. That's kind of important. Now, can he survive the rest of the fight? LNG, they're not full HP. Dragon's going down. It's just going to get burned.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going at it. 20% more damage done by Croco in front of those dragons, and that will be a soul completed. Now imagine Croco with the Cloud Soul. Imagine Hope with the Cloud Soul. I mean, this whole team with the Cloud Soul. It's going to be so difficult to escape now from LNG.
Yeah, I think LNG did not have the best response to that Baron. They kind of went towards the Dragon. They had their bluff call towards mid lane, so they lose themselves that mid inhib without defending it. They also lose themselves that Dragon without having a great angle as well. It's a bit of Safari League of Legends. You just kind of, again, watch things happen in the wilderness without actually interacting with it at all. You're pretty much just a spectator at that point. Now we are really getting towards like hyper late game. I want to highlight Shanks' build as well. He's not gone towards like the full crit Lucian. He's gone towards the Black Cleaver instead of something like that. All dominance regards. It does help in giving you extra mobility because of the extra move speed which the Black Cleaver can give you. Now with the Oceans of the Cloud Soul as well, rather, you're going to have huge amounts of mobility on this Lucian. And Shanks, who's not been the main character of this game, does have a huge build to make a huge difference here. Hope in a similar level too. So much move speed with the Cloud Soul and then also the approach velocity as well. I think LNG could struggle to hit the carries that they need to unless they get a really good Yone ult. If Yone gets that ult, it's way into the late game. You talk about this so much. That can win the game for LNG.
I think in this position, I just want LNG to chill. They are so good around these team fights in the big 5-on-5s, not getting split up, and they just need to not get caught by Hope's Enchanted Crystal Arrows. As you see, they're looking for a little bit of an overextension here by anyone's legend. It is something where they can buy a little bit of time for themselves. They've already lost that Dragon Soul, but the next fight could be the game breaker.
See that Croco full build on the Shyvana as well. It's gone for the Morelnomicon, so that'll be some flat pen, and of course with the Leandries it will keep ticking that anti-heal over time. It's good that someone's got some anti-heal, I suppose, and it gives you a bit of more HP to be half as well. I don't mind it in this case. You already have yourself the extra kind of pen from the Crypt Bloom. Because you have so much % damage increase, you don't necessarily need the death cap. You have enough damage up already. I think the utility here is, it's okay. So Croco needs to see if he can get himself one of those E's onto particularly Gala. We saw in the last fight, I think the E did over half of Gala's health. That's the damage check we're at right now. So if one of them hits Gala, Ala flashes for a single auto, that's a dead Zig. So Gala's positioning also needs to be absolutely key. He has no defensive items. He went towards the full damage, which I do completely agree with. I think that's how Ziggs should be played. But it does mean, if you can't help and skip and satchel charge your way out of those long-range skill shots, you're going to be an X-Yordle at that point.
And it's just so damn good to see Croco functioning and being able to play a little bit something maybe stylistic, but it's been a tough trudge for anyone's legend. And I think Croco in the highest of highs for anyone's legend since coming over, and some of the lowest of lows. So nice to see him performing at least in a really important series for both these two teams. See if he can close this one out, though.
Yeah, no, anyone's legend team that we've had a lot of expectations of from what they've shown us in the start of summer, and there were a lot of expectations, I think, for Croco and Kael coming over to the LPL as well. Croco didn't come off of the back of his best split ever, but Kael and Croco, both players coming in from the LCK, have had good splits over in that region before. They come together as this jungle support. I will say recently they haven't been performing very well compared to the other top teams in the Ascension group. Specifically looking at jungle supports, but in this game we are seeing again some of the stuff that they can do. Kael's not. Oh, listen, Okay.
Cool, bro.
Right.
It's already a quarter off cooldown, by the way. So, yeah.
True. Yeah, maybe it just doesn't matter at all. Okay, what the heck am I talking
By
about?
the
Yeah,
time it
the arrow.
hit, it was already a quarter off cooldown. Love that.
He's doing it just to show that he can, and I appreciate that.
He's making sure his aim is on point. You got to practice archery, all right? You don't just go in there willy-nilly and just go firing all cold.
Right, okay, let's talk about this late game again. So we have 40 seconds till the Baron, 2 minutes until the Elder. LNG are chilling. Everyone's getting towards full items. Shanks has switched out that Black Cleaver for the Lord Dominate's regards. He has that movement speed from the Cloud anyway, so he's not lost too much mobility. He'll be okay with that one. Huge amounts of items across the board. Almost everyone reaching their full builds at this point. So LNG, they will look to find themselves, again, that really big Yone ultimate. But how do you find that angle? You don't have that much vision to play with. Baron's coming up soon. They don't want to give themselves no vision for that objective. That's why they're pushing so hard into the jungle right now. They want to just get 1 or 2 wards to give them an angle of attack. See if they can punish AL from overstepping. And on the other side, AL, if they get themselves a good angle, they have so much burst damage now. If they find an isolated target, they're going to die. If they particularly at Gala or WeiWei, I think that might just be the game.
See Croco starting up the Baron here. Does have Allah on his side, but LNG are going to move in to push them out of this one. Just trying to pull the temperament of LNG. They're going to TP on the back with Allah. LNG are the ones that just started up. Enchanted Crystal are going to hit the front line. Zika going to block a lot of that. Croco on the other side. Massive damage onto Gala. Look at Allah. He's on the big flank. He might be the death knell here. Kael goes in. Gala's gone. AL, they're picking them apart one by one. The refight by LNG is looking good, though. Scout's still alive. Hope has just been guarding out LNG the whole time, and the Dragon's roar can be heard from Croco as the legends do become legendary. It's one body left, and that's right into the body bag for Scout as anyone's legend have pulled it through.
Anyone's legend, with lost streak, be damned. LNG top of the table, does not matter to them. They pull out the Shyvana, but honestly, this game is a bit of a Shyvana diff. Croco catches out Gala enough to put them into contention and put themselves into the game win.
It's been back-to-back 2-0 losses. It's been a tough schedule, but anyone's legend, they're not ones to back down from a fight. And they will grab game 1 right out from underneath LNG. Incredible resurgence for Croco.
An important series again for LNG. Well, for both of these teams. Anyone's legend, they can push up towards higher in the table. We weren't expecting them to based off of recent form because of their loss streak that they've been on. But LNG, this is a team that could lock top 2 with a series win here today. The fact that they lose that game and in the way that they did is quite telling, I think. They overstepped in that mid lane. They weren't expecting that curveball coming through from that Shyvana. And particularly, the Shyvana dives forward onto mid lane to catch out Gala. Gala was the most fed person on the map, and he couldn't end up keeping himself safe. And that stalled out the game enough for AL to win.
That weakness that we highlighted might be showing itself.